Uh-oh.
Are we on?
I don't know. I think so.
Are we?
Ah!
Oh!
All right, so welcome to the last hour of our Paciolo Group careers.
All right, so if you are one of the 0 viewers who are watching us right now, I am Karl Groves.
I am Billy Gregory.
And we are the Viking and the Lumberjack.
Now, before we get too far into this, we should stress that this is not our normal environment. This isn't really a show or a presentation. It's really just us hanging out for an hour, just chatting, discussing accessibility. We're going to talk about the year. So, I guess what we're trying to say is don't really expect to learn much. Karl and I did very, very little preparation for this, and we're probably going to cut each other up. There's going to be lots of technical screw-ups. Yeah. So, I mean, come to think of it, actually, it is a lot like our presentation. Please tweet at V&L Show if you have any questions or comments. And at any time, use the hashtag VL Show. You might notice, getting back to this not being our typical environment, that we don't have a green screen behind us this time. We're not in an exotic location. Karl and I are actually both in our houses. We're just doing this over Hangouts. We usually have a lot more beer around, but, well, I mean,
I'm drinking water.
Our reality is that TPG just doesn't really have the beer budget or the budget in general. Just send us around whenever we feel like it. So, and the other reality is, Karl and I, we both have families. Karl's got a lot of other commitments. He's got tenant going on. I have other obligations. I haven't grown up. I still play punk rock music. So, it's hard for us to get together at the same place at the same time and record stuff all the time.
And so we thought about what can we do to, expand our brand and oversaturate the accessibility community with visions of 2 hairy tattooed gentlemen. And one thing we wanted to do is we wanted to be known for more than just making funny videos and sometimes unfunny videos as well. But that really wasn't actually our intention anyway. What we really wanted to do was we didn't want to make fun of accessibility, but we wanted to make accessibility fun. We wanted to make accessibility accessible. And so we thought, how else can we do this? YouTube videos are usually, too short. People don't want to watch YouTube videos for any longer than a couple of minutes. So it's hard to pack in a whole bunch of knowledge that way. And so we thought, let's try this. So, so here we are.
Like Karl said, we wanted to find different ways to sort of interact with the community at large. That's a lot of the big reason why Karl and I love going to camps and conferences and things like that, because it allows us to sort of interact with people on a personal level. We love doing our talks. We love doing the shows, but then, the reality is we can't go to one every weekend. We've got stuff going on. So, we thought, why don't we bring all of that to us?
Yeah, bring them all to us. We'll bring the whole environment to us so we can stay in our hovels and do this on air. So actually this brings us to what this whole thing is all about. We're going to do a monthly hangout.
Oh, who's going to do this? Oh, look, wrong one.
A hangout!
Hey!
Yeah. So basically here's the idea. Is there's so many other cool things out there like AX Chat and stuff like that, and we just wanted to rip off their idea. No, actually, there are a couple of other Hangout type series out there. There's the Web Platform Podcast, stuff like that's out there, and we thought, well, why not have one about accessibility? So we're going to do that starting from here once a month, hopefully, depending on our travel schedule and presentation schedule and all that sort of stuff. We're going to do a monthly hangout, probably somewhere on the order of 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the material and stuff like that. We're going to have guests. We're going to bring out some accessibility knowledge. We might share some cool stuff. And see how this goes. Doing this on a hangout, monthly type accessibility meetup.
For sure, and I mean, we want to stress that the episodes aren't going to go away. In truth, we'd love to record more of them and get them out on a more consistent basis. But we do everything in-house by ourselves, and they'll come out.
Actually, Bill does it all, and I just show up.
No, that's true, but that probably comes across in the videos anyways. There's only so many dirty looks at Karl I can edit out. But yeah, so I mean, we're not going anywhere. If anything, we want to be around more. We just want to look for different ways we can get our point across. So, the other thing we don't want to do is just have Karl and I babbling for an hour at each other every month. So that's like Karl said, we want to bring people in. We want to have guests every month. So we want to make this like a real hangout. I work with A-Level YTO in Toronto, and it's great. We have a monthly meetup. We bring out guests, and we have a fantastic time. So we want to do that online. Now, all of these meetups are going to be 100% captioned. We're going to make sure everything is as accessible as possible. We will describe what we need to describe. So we want to make sure everybody can join these meetups and hang out. Now, again, it's not just...
Speaking of hangouts and stuff, is our guy here? Is he doing the captioning?
We should have it.
I am on the link. Okay, so we're going to plow ahead and keep going. And Bill's going to continue speaking about the format.
Yeah. So this brings us to, like, Karl and I don't want to be the only ones talking every month, because quite honestly, like, there's only so much talking you can do. But there's a lot of really, really smart people that we really admire and look up to. So we're inviting anybody that we know that knows or has something that they want to talk about for accessibility. Maybe it's a talk you've done at a camp already. Maybe it's something new that you want to talk about. Maybe it's a presentation you had in mind. Please get in touch with us through @VandalShow. You can DM us on Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can email us. You can contact us through our website, vandalshow.com. And we'll get you on here. We have a whole year's worth of talks we want to fill up right away. We're going to start doing these in the first couple of weeks of January. We'll announce a date probably later this episode, if not later this week.
So what kind of stuff did you want to cover?
What kind of stuff? I want to cover pretty much anything that has to do with accessibility. I mean, obviously, we both come from development backgrounds, and that's really the stuff that interests us the most is web dev and accessibility. But I'm not going to draw the line at that. If it's something that's really cool that has something to do with what we do or impacts anybody that might be a fan of ours, I'm up for whatever, as long as it's not boring.
As long as it's not boring.
As long as it's not boring.
Okay. So now let's give them some material. Let's talk about accessibility in 2015 or V&L show in 2015.
Yeah. All right. So 2015. Speaking of which, how was your 2015, Karl?
Mine was pretty good. Mine was really good. Let's see. We went all over the place and did a bunch of episodes, so that was really good.
Yeah. But I mean, you specifically. I mean, you had a big year. Tenon launched. You've got a whole.
Yeah, Tenon came out, and the official launch was March, and so that's been going really, really well. Some highs, some lows. But overall, it's been really exciting, nerve-wracking, anxiety-ridden, and yeah.
But like you said, Viking and Lumberjack, we had a pretty cool year. I mean, we recorded a few new episodes. We, like you said, we traveled all over the place. So I mean, we recorded the 2 episodes that we have done and the 2 that we have in the can that I just haven't had time to edit yet. Those 4 episodes this year have been recorded in 5 countries on how many? 2, 3 different continents.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been all over the world. I mean, we've traveled to Costa Rica. We've been all over Europe. We've been all over the U.S. and Canada. It's been really, really awesome. Now we did have one episode that we recorded and had to pull because it was really.
What episode? What was that?
Well, you remember sitting there, we were using an ironing board, and we had our laptop set up for our notes, but we put the GoPro in front of the laptop, so it was like the whole episode was you and I just trying to nonchalantly look around it, and it was basically it resembled an internet documentary that Karl told me about with 2
with the
kind of awkward. So we scrapped that one. We refilmed it.
the documentary, is that the one with the black couch?
Exactly. So we
the white walls.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'll have to Google that. We hosted ID24. That was
okay.
it was pretty long.
A tad bit long, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think by the middle of the night we had no idea what was going on. By the end of it, we were zombies. We actually didn't know where we were even broadcast from until I got to the DC area and found out from Karl that I was taking a train to Baltimore, which is a bit of it wasn't bad, an hour and a half. So
yeah.
So that was cool. We did presentations all over the U.S. and Canada. We had a blast recently at Accessing Higher Ground. We did a talk called Why Mechag. And that's going to probably.
What about earlier?
Well, that's what I was getting at. So Why Mechag was the sister talk or a companion talk to something we had. Something we caused a little bit of a problem when we did a talk called Why Aria. That's the working title right now. We did Why Aria at CSUN, and the room was not big enough for the amount of people. We kind of overestimated or underestimated how many people actually wanted to see Karl and I make fools of ourselves. And then our good buddy Adrian decided to cause a bit of a commotion with one of the red shirts, and
they were chasing people out. They were
like a giant "Let them stay" chant.
Let them stay. Let them. Yeah, that, and then they got on their microphones.
Forever, Jared from WebAIM with his fist in the air yelling "WTF Aria" is going to be probably one of my favorites.
He's a laid back guy. He's so like calm and sort of straight. He's got he's like the.
You realize you just made your hair, which is.
he's just very combed and
well presented like you.
Yeah, and then he's WTF Aria.
That was probably the most fun I've ever had giving a talk was that one, and we did that talk a few more times, and it was hard to recapture that magic. I had fun every time we did it, but that first time was just magic.
Yeah, we did that same one in Guelph, and it was kind of a dud. So.
It didn't help when you have 14 people in our auditorium. 400.
An auditorium.
Yeah. What else? Oh, dude, the best was when they recast Viking and Lumberjack for the next web conference, next web content 2015 in Japan.
Yeah.
Our buddy Makoto. Oh, go ahead.
Makoto Yuiki. He had these skits on that he did with his daughters, and they were, I must admit, far cuter than you and I are. And he did these mini skits, and it was really awesome. There's a picture of the girls. I'm gonna tweet this picture out right now of his girls dressed as the Viking and a Lumberjack, including with the
I think his daughters or his nieces. I can't remember.
Oh, were they his nieces? Okay.
I don't know if they're his kids or not. Maybe Makoto can chime in on that.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that was a blast. That was probably one of the highlights of my year. Was doing that. And then, I mean, what about accessibility in general? It's enough about us. We've talked about us for, 15 minutes now. And believe me, we could talk about us all day if we wanted to. But what about the broader spectrum of accessibility this year, Karl?
Well, what I really enjoyed was, I don't know about you, but it seemed like there was a lot more of people talking about other disabilities other than blindness. We know that people who are seriously vision impaired have a lot of bigger challenges than most when it comes to the web as a primarily graphic medium. But we didn't see a lot of, it's been a long time since of that kind of discussion, and a lot of other disability types locked out of some of those discussions, or at least I don't want to say drowned out because that makes the wrong impression, but we saw more discussion of cognitive disabilities, right? The cognitive accessibility working group with the WAI was really, really active in 2015. Jamie Knight did a presentation at CSUN that was so good that they let him do it again. The first one was standing room only.
Did you catch that talk?
I caught the second one, and that one was standing room only.
I caught. Yeah, it was amazing. It was probably one of the best talks I saw at CSUN.
Yeah, and I think that was. I think that Jamie, just in general, including his presence at CSUN, was the kind of thing that was a real eye opener for a lot of people. Something that I've been talking about for a while is that there's that the user doesn't start, their existence on this universe doesn't start and end with their session. And there's a lot more to think about when you're talking about a person with disabilities. And as a matter of fact, in CSUN 2014, I did a presentation on chronic pain disorders at CSUN that was titled, "I Never Knew a Website Could Hurt Someone." And so I thought that was really cool. I thought Jamie's thing was really cool, and I hope he contributes some more at CSUN maybe this year. A lot more discussion about deaf and hard of hearing issues. There were some lawsuits about captioning of education content as we start pressing people more and more towards going to college and stuff online. That's finally starting to get traction. A lot of the requirements for CVAA have those deadlines that they were sitting out on for a while. The deadlines have gone. And so that brings a lot more hard of hearing concerns presently as well. There's some other really cool stuff that's happened too. The team over at the WordPress Accessibility team,
Yes.
they've kicked a lot of ass this year. The WordPress Accessibility team has a process where they review themes, and they went from, like, I don't know, a little bit more than a dozen or so to almost 100 accessibility ready themes that are visible in on WordPress.org.
Okay. Think back a couple of years ago at CSUN. I think it was like 2013 when Joseph O'Connor did his cities project, and at that point there were no themes available.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're kind of a jerk if you don't seek out one of these themes, because there are so many of them. Like you said, there's almost 100 of them.
Yeah.
You can find something that will fit, your design that you just maybe tweak a little bit. But I mean, yeah, they're out there now. It's amazing. It's such a great team.
And the other thing too is they've been advocating for accessibility within the core of WordPress. And so now I haven't reviewed them or anything like that, but from what I understand, the basic theme that comes with WordPress now, these are accessible as well. So when WordPress comes out with a new version and they have a new base theme, those are accessible from the get-go as well. So that's really cool.
That's very cool. I mean, we had some bad news too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, accessibility again has been sidelined from a regulatory standpoint, from the Access Board punting again, and the DOJ punting again on finalizing, issuing what they call a final rule. In the United States, they call them a final rule, and getting to the final rule part. The DOJ had said, I think both the Access Board and DOJ are saying 2016 is when we're going to see something. And this is ridiculous because the Access Board, the TITAC delivered their report in 2008. There's been some stuff going around when it came to creating the final, they eventually sort of trashed the original TITAC report and went and redid 508 a little bit. But even then, that was a long time ago, man. They need to get off their asses and get it done. And then the DOJ, go ahead.
So I mean, not that you and I have ever spoken to anybody from the Access Board, but hypothetically, if we were to interview somebody for like a Viking and Lumberjack episode like 2 summers ago, I bet one of the quotes that we never got, that would never air, that we don't know what we're talking about, would have said something along the lines of it being their hope and expectation that it would be done in September 14.
Hope and expectation, yeah. And that hope.
I mean, again, I'm making all of this up because like this would ever happen, that wouldn't,
Yeah, well, they've been moving that on and on, and the DOJ has. It's what's interesting about the DOJ punting on the ADA stuff, the stuff for public accommodation, is it hasn't stopped the DOJ from making highly public statements to say We consider the web a place of public accommodation, a place of public accommodation. It hasn't stopped them. And it hasn't stopped anybody else. It certainly hasn't stopped the FCC when it comes to the CVAA stuff. And you know, the CVAA stuff is now, those deadlines have come through, and now if you are a advanced communication supplier, then you have to abide by these rules. The Air Carrier Access Act, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, December 12th or something like that, your websites, if you're an airline, have to be accessible and all that stuff. And so that hasn't.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off here, but websites.
Yeah.
Speaking of air carriers, Jettison Ascension put out a great article. He wrote a great article on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn blog, a couple weeks ago, about an experience he had recently where he couldn't, because everything is sort of in those. I mean, this is about the physical being on the plane experience, but everything to do with, you know, interacting with the flight attendants now is done via touchscreen. The touchscreen on those planes are not accessible. So the call flight attendant button, and Jettison's struggle was that he had to go through a series of steps that he couldn't remember or couldn't find to actually call the flight attendant for help. So now it becomes, and the flight attendants, you know, basically her advice to him was, well, get the person next to you to help. So I mean, it's a great read. I wish I had the link handy. I'll tweet it out afterwards. But if you find it, maybe Jettison, if he's listening, which I doubt, maybe he can tweet that out. But yeah, it's a great article and a really interesting take on, you know, when does accessibility affect personal safety? Yeah,
well, exactly. I mean, you know, they go through. I mean, they're mandated by law to go through all that safety briefings information at the very beginning of the flight, and then you still have this situation where, you know, God forbid something bad does happen.
For sure.
Well, so there was some other stuff in 2015 that's pretty cool. So A11Y wins. Marcy Sutton has been curating this Tumblr blog. I'm going to tweet that out too.
I can only assume that this Hangout will be considered an A11Y.
I can only assume that this would be, yeah. No, it's cool though. She, you know, one of the things that I like about it is that, you know, accessibility and the accessibility community can generally be pretty harsh to itself. And what I like about the Tumblr blog from Marcy is she highlights the cool stuff that's been going on. Like, you know, give people a pat on the back. I think it's a well-deserved kind of thing.
I couldn't agree more, and kudos to Marcy for actually doing it, because I mean, a lot of us talk about that all the time, where, you know, wouldn't it be great if we used the internet for good? You know, we didn't just use Twitter as the world's largest bug filer or anything like that, or bug tracker, like. And, you know, Marcy sort of took it one step beyond that. She's highlighting stuff and you know, really talking people up when they do a good job. And I don't think we do that enough in our community. We really make ourselves look like we're angry and all we're going to do is come after you with pitchforks if you screw up. Really quick to judge, but really slow to compliment. I mean,
yeah, especially when something's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
So another thing that happened. So the UAG. I guess that's how you pronounce it. UAG was published as a working group note. This is the UAG 2.0, which is User Agent Accessibility Guidelines. And that is, it's sort of a good story and a bad story. The bad story was it was supposed to be a recommendation, a TR, but they just couldn't get it done. But one of the things that highlights too is sort of a lack of participation. This is just my own personal take on that front. You know, we want to make sure that the browsers are accessible as well. You know, there's a lot of things from a lot of things that have to go into an accessible experience, and it all starts from the browser. Really, the browser has to expose the necessary information. And the accessibility API has to get that information that they need, and, you know, on up the chain. So the browsers need to be involved in this thing as well. And so, and we've seen in the past, for instance, Opera, before it went to the Blink rendering engine that Chrome uses, Opera was horrible for accessibility, which is unfortunate. But so what's really cool about this is that they did publish this working group note, and that was relatively recently. So kudos to them for at least getting that done in a form that can hopefully be used by browser vendors.
Yeah. One bit of news that continues to be troublesome is Uber.
Uber.
Such potential there with Uber. But we've seen, and I mean, Sassy Eltwater has been very, very vocal about her struggles with Uber to get them to recognize her service animal as a service animal.
Mm-hmm.
She was refused just as recently as, what, a week or two ago.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say this right now. I am 100% in Sassy's corner on this.
Right.
She was getting some people tweeting at her saying, well, why don't you just stop using them? That is not the point.
No. The point is,
Uber is so, like, it's such an amazing service, especially for a blind user. I mean, a blind writer. It's cashless. It's accessible when they choose to be.
Right.
It's just it's so close to being perfect that
Right. It is. It's really it's. I think it's a missed opportunity for Uber, to be honest with you. Because first off, they're already disrupting the industry, the taxi industry. Anyway, you probably saw the riots, or not riots, but the protests that were happening in Toronto recently.
Oh yeah.
But they had this service that you can call, you just schedule your thing and pay for it right there on your app, and bang, you're done, and you get door-to-door service. And then you had these jerk drivers. Because I don't really think it's actually Uber so much as it is
that's the problem, right? I mean, it's the same thing that I'm sure they consider all their drivers, private contractors, so they can sort of, avoid any kind of persecution there. But it's not fair,
No, and let's face it, they're punting on that whole thing with considering their employees as contractors. They're punting on that because they don't want to pay workers.
We're a rideshare app. We're not a taxi service. And
yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is, really, I think, and I'm sure Sassy could tweet out some more information if she's listening, but really, I think Uber should just start enforcing their own policies. That would be a great start, because they have policies in place for that.
Absolutely.
So I finally felt vindicated personally, as a person with color blindness, that my needs were finally being considered by the mainstream world when the NFL teams played with those idiotic green and red uniforms. The mainstream media finally took color blindness seriously. No, but seriously, I have pretty significant color blindness. That Ishihara thing with the dots.
Right. Yeah.
I get like the first one. So this is really funny that the red and green uniforms were described as torture by colorblind fans. This is actually pretty funny, because the Jets and the Bills were playing, and they had these red and green uniforms, and it's really funny because if you see some of the pictures that people tweeted, especially if they were in the audience, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
A mess of players.
It's like, look, is that guy offsides? It was.
So from the back, that would be a use of color issue. From the front, I guess it's not color alone, because you have the logo to go by. If we were, basing this off, okay.
Yeah, but if you're in the seats that I can afford, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
so looping back to the U.S. sort of punting on a few things. Every bit of stalling the U.S. is done, Canada is kicking ass these days. We have a new PM.
Apologizing.
No, we have a new. Yeah, we're kicking ass and apologizing. Exactly. Sorry for cutting you off there. But we have this new PM who is just awesome. I mean, his dad was awesome. He's doing an amazing job. Right out of the gate, the first thing Trudeau did was appoint a Minister of Sport and Persons with Disabilities. It sounds odd to have those two people, those two positions merged, until you think of the fact that the minister is a 3-time Paralympic Games medalist in swimming.
That's cool.
He was born with a vision impairment. So, her two worlds have collided, and now she's the minister.
That's really cool.
Is that Trudeau, in his first mandate to her, in an open letter that anybody can go online and read, the first thing he did was mandate that we create a Canadians with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now
So we're not dealing on the provincial level now, right? We're dealing federal. So the entire country is going to be mandated by laws that will protect and preserve the rights of people with disabilities, which I think is fantastic.
And they're going to get it done faster than Access Board or DOJ could do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on. Our country had a 10-week campaign to pick our new leader. You guys are going on like year 6 or something. Like,
yeah, they start as soon as they get elected. They start on their re-election campaign.
oh wow, yeah,
yeah.
All right, well, and then so I mean, not only do we have this amazing PM that's sort of he's looking out for the rights, but he's also appointed 2 people with visible disabilities as part of his cabinet. So. We do have, I think his name is Carla Quattro. I can never pronounce her name properly. She's the Minister of Sport and Persons with Disabilities. Then our Veterans Affairs Ministers, Ken Hare, he's a quadriplegic. He was actually in a drive-by shooting years ago, and now he's our Veterans Affairs Minister. So we're doing amazing up here, looking out for and just
that is really
do best, looking out for our citizens, and being a kick-ass country. So
yeah,
I love it. Let's put it out to those watching. Let's, what did you guys see this year that was awesome? What would you consider? And Marcy, if you're watching, you're not allowed to say 11Y wins because that's not fair. What did suck this year though?
What?
We had very little Eric and Sassy.
Yeah.
We'll fix that. We're gonna fix that in 2016.
Yeah, well, we kind of hit it out of the park with the home run on Sassy's Androne commercial. So
I know that's a tough one, and we did do a great bit with her and Uber that we haven't really gotten around to doing anything with yet. So maybe we'll do something with that in the new year as well. I'll have to CGI some more hair onto myself and some less hair on you. We'll have to. We'll fix that in post.
We have continuity problems, yeah. So while we're waiting to see anybody tweet anything from what they've seen in 2015, we have some questions. Let's see. Dennis Lembry says, will VNL be presenting at CSUN 16 and will you wear costumes? Yes, but Bill is going to be dressed as a French maid and I'm going to be a naughty schoolgirl for that. No, not the right costumes? That would be cool. But I don't. I do have a big Mjolnir that L Waters bought me, and I've been contemplating bringing that with me to CSUN, but I don't think that the TSA would let me carry a big ass hammer through there.
That's fair enough. The answer to the question, though, yeah, we are presenting. We're doing Mechag together. Karl and I both, I think we each have a solo talk kicking around. I'm going to do a little talk on audio description and captioning. It's more of a case study based on what I've learned through the Viking and Lumberjack stuff and have to do all that stuff in-house.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
I'm going to walk you through some of that stuff and show you it's not too hard. And then Karl and I are going to have some fun with Mechag. So if you thought Aria got off too easy, come to the Mechag talk.
We're not going to make any friends on that one.
You never know. I mean, I think people are going to get. Let's just leave it at that. You never know.
Yeah.
Let's just say that we did this talk at Accessing Higher Ground, and Eric, we had him record a little something on the street, and again, he just walked in, owned us, mic dropped, left, and Karl and I just had to sit there for the rest of the talk, trying to be as funny in 40 minutes as Eric was in 3. But that is what it is. Eric's just better than us.
Steve Faulkner has a question here. High karate or blue Stratos? I'm gonna go with high karate. I don't know about you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right. So that's 2015. I mean, that's not all of 2015, but that's a decent coverage. Let's talk 2016. Let's talk the future.
Okay.
So what do we got coming up in 2016, Karl?
Oh, we got our Hangouts, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing this once a month, like I said. We're going to try to do it.
I think you said the
second Thursday.
Second Thursday of every month.
Yeah, but sometimes Bill and I travel. We do all the in-person training in the United States for the Paciolo group. So if Bill and I are on travel, we'll have to reschedule it. But we'll have that information in advance. We're going to do some more episodes. Bill has to get off his butt and do the final production on a couple of really cool ones that we've done. We did the Viking and Lumberjack European vacation. And so hopefully Bill will be able to finish that.
I'm going to blame Terry Bray for this one because he was going to help me with one last section and he bounced on me. It's not his fault. He was sick. But yeah, so there's one last little thing you need to film that just needs, it's mostly edited. I promise you guys, you will see a new Viking Lumberjack by the end of January.
And they're going to feature other people. Leonie Watson and Steve Faulkner are going to have some cameos. Right.
And Patrick Lauke is also, he shows up briefly.
Yes. Cool. And, you know, people can tweet us what they want us to talk about in the future episodes. Eric will definitely be back, hopefully, with us on some of the things, because let's face it, he's the real talent.
He's going to be live with us. He's going to do a little bit at the CSUN talk. We're going to have him up, and he's going to do his Man on the Street segment from live in the room with us. So that's going to be pretty.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So
I think that we're bad when we're unfiltered. You've got to see what this guy will come up with.
We had to pick.
They'll probably take our job in the meantime.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
That's going to be a lot of fun in general because Karl and I have been sort of kicking around a few ideas to make some friends and have some fun at CSUN. One we talked about, which we haven't really talked about since, and maybe we can ask the group now, who would be interested in getting, because remember we talked about the A11Y tattoos we wanted to get?
Yes.
Viking 11 tattoo, excursion.
Excursion.
It would be just like as simple, wherever you want to get it, just hashtag A11Y. Maybe we'll pick a few quick designs. We'll get an artist working on them, and then we'll get them done. We'll just all book an afternoon somewhere, and we'll just go somewhere. We're not going to book a real reputable place.
Yeah, it's funny because this
will be an unsponsored Viking and Lumberjack thing too. By the way, this isn't something
you're going to pay for it yourself
in any way.
But who already has a couple of accessibility related tattoos is Denis Boudreau.
He sure does. A couple. Doesn't he have, would a couple mean like his friggin' left arm?
Yeah. Well, I say I only have two, so.
Some would say too many.
Too many. Yeah. My mom, when I was in my 20s, was when I was getting most of my tattoos. My mom would still cry when I got a new one. And I'm like, Mom, I'm sleeved now. What's the? Yeah.
Because I'm very delicate. And my skin is almost like a newborn baby's. When I get hot or itchy or anything like that, my tattoos actually puff up and they get all scarred. So I feel like I've almost got accessible tattoos.
Yeah, I actually call my tattoos. I say they've gone braille when they do that. Yeah. This one, I'm sorry, not that one. The Black Flag tattoo is the one that goes braille really easily.
So there you go, accessible tattoos for everybody.
Yeah,
and miniature American flags for all. I had to work in a Simpsons reference.
Okay. So what do you think, man? Are we going to go to Japan this year?
Man, I really, really want to go to Japan this year. We promised Makoto we would be at the Next Web Content 2016 live and in person.
Yeah.
We just need to find the right sponsors. Maybe we need to do like some crowdfunding for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
MasterCard has refused to sponsor me.
Okay. So let's continue on. What predictions can you make for 2016?
Okay, so predictions for 2016. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Hangouts are the way to go. We know this, right? We know that this works. It was the setup with all the users. So we are going to use this for ID24. So ID24 will be bigger and better than ever. We're going to use Hangouts. We can get the videos up right away.
Yeah.
And, we can get the captioning. Now, we're still having troubles with the videos from 2015 for a myriad of reasons. It's just, it's tough to get them all sort of exported, edited. This way we can set up 24 individual Hangouts. You can go to the ones we want. We'll have them all scheduled, URLs. Boom, done. So I'm going to predict that that's going to be fantastic.
Okay.
What about you?
I think Steve Faulkner is going to write about 200 blog posts on the TPG forums. And they're all going to start with a short note about whatever his topic is.
All right, that's fair. I'm going to bet that some people are going to be more vocal than they need to be about Aria and Mechag, and start weeks of arguing about nothing.
Where on Twitter? Right?
This is a bold prediction right now, but it's going to change the face of accessibility. Someone is going to say something stupid about Mechag on Twitter before January 2nd.
Okay. All right.
Probably before I finished that sentence, somebody said something stupid about Mechag on Twitter.
I think that's too easy. Okay. So what do you think? What are we thinking about Section 508? Is it our hope and expectation?
It's our hope and expectation that Section 508 will, do something. Otherwise, if they hold another hearing, I feel sorry for them, because Make Haster is going to be a really nasty talk.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think that I can predict that they're going to have another hearing scheduled at CSUN where they listen to the same things over and over again. And
we should do that. We should get everyone that's on this Hangout right now, we should get everyone to sign up, and we should all give the exact same talk. I think that one talk from last year, the Make Haste.
It's the same one I said last year.
That's about the exact same message back to back to back, and make them listen to the whole thing like 50 times in a row.
I support that. I will. I'll even put it in Braille for anybody who wants to take it up and read from the Braille as they're doing it.
Because if they're going to waste our time, let's waste theirs.
Yeah. Well, we know we know that people are going to have some real criticisms about 508. The cognitive stuff isn't well covered. Low vision isn't well covered in 508, but it's 1,000 times better than what they have now. What they have now is just ridiculously out of date, and it's a joke. Sorry, I can rant on that for weeks.
Yeah, I know. I travel with you.
Yeah. Okay.
What about resolutions, Carl? Got any 2016 accessibility resolutions?
Accessibility resolutions.
Totally putting you on the spot here, because
I know. Yeah. Resolution. Let's see. You know what my resolution is? I'm going to learn more about what's out there for cognitive. So as some people may know, my daughter has pretty significant dyslexia, and that's an area that I didn't know much about until she started school and had difficulties, and we went through all that process. And I need to learn more about cognitive disabilities, and especially about strategies for learning how to read and learning how to deal with some of the other associated frustrations and all those sorts of things, because I feel ill-prepared on some of those things. What about the group? Does anybody have any accessibility resolutions for 2016? Go ahead and tweet those at VNL Show or hashtag VL Show.
I'm going to paraphrase for me for 2016. I think I'm going to paraphrase my boy Jake from the 6 here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start talking less and go out more. Okay. I want to go to more camps. I want to go to more conferences where I know nothing, where I don't know a single talk or a single speaker, and where I'm not on the ticket. I want to go to more conferences to learn this year in 2016.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Some of those academic related accessibility conferences are really good for some of that stuff, for learning what people are doing.
Yeah, for sure. Because I had a lot of fun actually at Accessing Higher Ground, because I for the first time I just went to talks that I didn't really know much about, and I sat there. I tried that at Quebec as well, but I don't speak French, so I was a little bit lost on some of them.
Hard.
It was a little tougher than it needed to be.
So let's wrap this thing up with my favorite things to do during our talks and episodes and stuff. Let's talk about cool stuff. So we talked about cool stuff. If anybody was at the Accessing Higher Ground lunch plenary session that Bill and I did in 2015, we had a bunch of cool stuff that we talked about. So let's wrap this up with some cool stuff.
All right, I got one.
Okay.
It's actually it's very recent. You're all familiar, or hopefully everyone's seen the new Stevie Wonder Apple commercials.
Yeah.
Where they show him working on a song at the beginning. I love the fact that he is clearly using voiceover in the commercial to work and create his art, but they don't highlight the AT at all. They don't show it. They don't mention voiceover. It's not a commercial for voiceover. It's just part of how he uses his computer, and it's just there.
That's cool. And so they're showing, basically by virtue of that, they're showing that the product is useful for people.
Exactly. And I think that's just super cool. I think it's really cool that you know, the product is you know, highlighting their features without, you know, throwing it in our faces.
Yeah. I'm going to tweet one. This was a really cool story. This was a little girl. This little girl wanted to do ballet, and the New York City Ballet has an outreach program for kids, and so they get to interact with real dancers and all that sort of stuff. It's really cool. But there was a little girl. She had CP, and the mom was a little worried, you know, if the daughter participated in this program, that it wouldn't go well, you know, for lack of a better word. She was worried about some of the challenges that the little girl's going to have in terms of movement and stuff like that. So what she did, the mom wrote a letter, and she asked if she could do a private session with the New York City Ballet, and you know, she wasn't expecting much. But what ends up happening is they wrote a letter too, hoping to get some participation, and they created this awesome session for these kids. It was really great. I think they have a video, but I'm gonna tweet the link. And I think they got 19 kids to participate in this program. That was really awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
One cool thing I've seen that's very tech related this year, and I've seen of actually a couple of different products that sort of do the same thing, but it's the auto translation of ASL to text, or not even ASL, but any kind of sign language.
That's really cool.
One of the cool ones I saw recently was a glove, and they sort of they learn sort of the hand patterns, and then through that, it's translated to text, sort of the same way the dragging would work or something like that. I think that's really cool. Obviously, the possibility.
That is really cool. Because that sort of enables conversation with a hearing and non-hearing person, where the hearing person doesn't have to know ASL, right?
Exactly. I mean, it could be completely app-based, right? I mean, smartphone, enable it with Bluetooth and have it dumped right in your, you know, a notepad or something in your smartphone. It could be super simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Looking like a true tech leader. Yeah, it's super simple. Just spend 100 hours developing that for me, or 1,000 hours, really.
Yeah. Who knows? Okay, so I'm going to go with one that's not 100% related to accessibility, but I think it could be. Amazon Prime Now. I don't know about you, but I live on Amazon, and if I could figure out how to do it, I would do everything from Amazon. Just because I'm lazy and I don't want to go anywhere. But if you couldn't go anywhere, like if you had to, if you could drive, or if you you know, needed to get some assistance, or had to call Uber to go to the store, you know how that's going to go. Amazon Prime now offers 1 hour delivery of beer, wine, and spirits in Manhattan. And I know Eric Wright is going to be like waiting for that to show up in where is he?
I just picture like this holding pattern of drones over his apartment waiting for the next shipment of booze.
So I think that's awesome, and I'm going to move to New York City so I can have that too.
Just crash with Sarah.
Yes, there we go. I'll crash with Sarah Horton. She's in Brooklyn, so she's not in Manhattan. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, we have any more questions? No questions. Any tweet? Oh, so Let's see. Didn't
Yeah, I think we're.
Dennis Deacon? He had a question in the before we even started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go way down. What did Dennis ask? He asked, should developers know how to use a screen reader? If so, to what level of expertise? What do you think? My immediate reaction is, should a mechanic know how to drive a car? There's a lot of smart-ass answers that come out. Short answer, yes. I think they absolutely should know how to use a screen reader. To what level? To whatever can get them from A to B. I think, obviously, how good you are with that AT is going to have a direct impact on how many errors you can find, or how savvy you can get with it. At bare minimum, you should know how somebody uses AT. You shouldn't just
even if they don't
have a bunch of
become an expert, right? They can develop some empathy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anybody that's hit Command F5 on their computer or on their MacBook by mistake, and then had to deal with trying to figure out how to turn off VoiceOver.
Yeah.
That's immediate empathy, right? I mean, they're like, "Oh God, what did I do?"
Because all the swiping is, everything's all different. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I actually accidentally did that with my first iPad. I was like, here, I told Jen, I was like, here, let me show you this thing. It's called VoiceOver. It's really awesome. And I turned it on. And I'm like, holy crap! I turned it off, and I couldn't. Yeah, so that's a great one. We should do that in training. We'll just take everybody's iPads and iPhones and turn on VoiceOver.
What could possibly go wrong? Sounds like a mobile talk we train wrecked a couple of years ago.
All right, so okay, let's call it quits then.
Yeah, we're coming up on the hour, so I guess thank you everybody for joining us today. Hopefully you guys had fun. Hopefully you guys will tune back in every month, and we can grow this. And like we said, we really want to do these online hangouts. It's not just going to be Karl and I babbling. We are going to put together, really the focus of this today was to announce the monthly hangout and really to test whether or not it could actually work. So maybe if you guys could tweet at us and let us know whether or not it worked, whether or not you see value in this. And then obviously, if you have any topics that you want to personally talk about, or you want to nominate somebody else to talk about, by all means, get in touch with us and we'll roll with it. We're really excited about doing this. It means less travel for us. We still get to hang out, literally and by name. But yeah.
All right. I'm Karl Groves.
I'm Billy Gregory.
We're the Viking and the Lumberjack.